December 18th, 1940. 17 hours. Alexandria Harbor. Egypt, Admiral Sir Andrew A.B.C. Cunningham, Commander-in-Chief of the Mediterranean Fleet, stands on the flag deck of his flagship, HMS Warspite. His telescope is fixed on the harbor boom. His fleet is holding the line by a thread. The Regia Marina, Mussolini's powerful, modern navy, is fast, lethal, and believes this sea is Mare Nostrum, our lake. The French fleet has fallen. The Royal Navy is alone. Cunningham needs ships. He needs anything. Signal. Sir, his aide reports. The 19th Destroyer Flotilla. They are entering the harbor. Cunningham lowers his telescope. He does not see the sleek, powerful lines of new tribal-class destroyers. He does not see cruisers. He sees them, 5 ships, steaming in a ragged line, their paint peeling, their hulls weeping rust. They are small. They look ancient. On the bridge of the lead ship, HMS Stuart, Captain Hector Hec Waller, a man of quiet, ferocious competence, returns the salute. He knows exactly what his ships are. They are V and W class destroyers. Built in 1917 and 1918, they are veterans of a different war. They leak. Their plating rattles when they go too fast. Their idea of anti-aircraft defense is a single pom-pom gun and a few 303 Lewis machine guns. This is what Australia, itself threatened by Japan, could spare for the real war. This is the HMS Stuart, Vampire, Vendetta, Voyager, and Waterhen. In Berlin, the report of this new flotilla reaches the desk of Dr. Joseph Goebbels, the Reich's propaganda minister. He finds it hilarious. In a broadcast intended to mock the Allies and puff up his Italian partners, he dictates the nickname that will become legend, the Australian contribution. His radio broadcast sneers. Is a collection of ancient, rusted-out tubs, a scrap iron flotilla, sent to be sunk in the Mediterranean. In Rome, Mussolini's admirals agree. This is not a threat. This is a joke. But Cunningham, a brawler himself, does not laugh. He sees 5 destroyers, 5 sets of guns, and, most importantly, 5 crews of aggressive, hard-bitten colonials who haven't learned the meaning of obsolete. Get them refueled, Captain. Cunningham orders his staff, his face a mask of stone. They're on the screen tonight. They're not scrap. They're ours. The joke is over. The scrap iron is immediately put to work, hunting submarines, escorting the vital, life-or-death convoys to Malta. They are thrown into the teeth of the Regia Marina, and the laughter is about to die in the throats of the men who started it. March 28th, 1941. 22:10 hours. South of Cape Matapan, Greece. The night is an ink-black shroud. There is no moon. Captain Hector Hec Waller stands on the open, vibrating bridge of HMS Stuart. The old tub is shuddering, pushed to a speed her 1917-era engines were never meant to sustain. The wind is a high-pitched scream in the rigging. Waller is not hunting. He is screening. His ship, along with the rest of the 10th and 14th flotillas, is a thin line of steel protecting Admiral Cunningham's big boys, the battleships HMS Warspite, Valiant, and Barham, which are thundering along in the darkness just behind him. Cunningham is on the scent of blood. His carrier planes have found and crippled the Italian battleship Vittorio Veneto, and, just an hour ago, the heavy cruiser Pola. Now, in the pitch black, Cunningham is closing in for the kill, and he is using his destroyers as his eyes and ears. Contact, sir. The voice from the Stuart's primitive radar shack is tight with excitement. Bearing Red 05, close, very close. Waller raises his binoculars, but they are Useless. He sees nothing but the faint, phosphorescent wake of his own flotilla. How close? Sir, I think it's 4,000 yards. They're right on top of us. This is the moment of truth. A 23-year-old destroyer, a piece of scrap iron, is the first to find the enemy. But who is the enemy? Is it the crippled Polar? Or is it the rest of the Italian fleet? Come back to save her. Starboard turn. Coxswain, Waller orders, his voice impossibly calm. Bring us around. We'll have a look. He is breaking formation. He is taking his rusty tub and poking it at a shadow. On the Warspite, Cunningham's flagship, a signal lamp flashes angrily. What are you doing? Before Waller can answer, his lookout screams, "Ship's starboard beam, 3, no." 4 shadows. Waller's binoculars snap up, and his blood runs cold. The shadows are not small, they are massive. 2 Zara-class heavy cruisers, the Fiume and the Zara, sister ship to the Polar, and 2 destroyers. They are steaming slowly, their guns pointed forward. They are completely, utterly unaware that the entire British Mediterranean battle fleet is bearing down on their port side. They are looking for the Polar. They have blundered into a trap. Waller has maybe 5 seconds. He can fire torpedoes, a glorious, suicidal charge for the scrap iron. But he knows his job. His job is to illuminate. "Signal lamp," he roars. "Make the challenge. Who are you?" The steward's lamp flashes. The challenge goes unanswered. Waller grabs his flagship radio. Enemy. Bearing. 050. 2 cruisers. 2 destroyers. On the Warspite. Admiral Cunningham receives the signal. He sees the shadows himself now. 3,000 yards away. Point-blank range for a 15-inch naval gun. "Illuminate," he orders. A searchlight from the Warspite clicks on. A single, brilliant white spear of light, 800 million candle power, slices the dark and lands, perfectly, on the midships of the Fiume. The Italian sailors, caught in the beam, stare back, frozen in disbelief. "Open fire," Cunningham says. "It is not a battle. It is an execution. The Warspite, Valiant, and Barham open up. 24 15-inch guns, all firing at once. The sound is not a bang. It is a physical concussion that rips the air apart, a rolling, apocalyptic thunder. The sky turns bright orange. Hec Waller, on the bridge of the Stuart, is thrown against the bulkhead by the shock wave of his own battleships. He watches, in silent, terrible awe, as the Fiume vaporizes. A 1,900-pound armor-piercing shell hits a turret. Another hits the bridge. Another hits the magazine. The 10,000-ton heavy cruiser disappears in a 1,000-foot-high column of flame and steel. The guns shift. They find the Zara. They find the Italian destroyers. It is all over in 3 minutes. But for HMS Stuart, the fight is just beginning. The Italian destroyer Vittorio Alfieri is still in the fight, launching torpedoes at the Warspite. "Our turn. Boys!" Waller roars. "Hard to starboard. Engage the enemy destroyer." The scrap iron ship, its 1917 hull groaning, turns into the inferno. She is a wolf among the dying. Her ancient 4.7-inch guns designed to fight U-boats in the last war, begin to bark, their shells tracer red in the darkness. Her torpedoes leap, Stuart and the British destroyer havoc knife through the wreckage. Their guns blazing, hunting the surviving Italian destroyers. They are no longer a joke. They are the butchers, finishing the job. By 02 Sur, the sea is silent, save for the crackle of burning oil and the cries of 2,600 Italian sailors in the water. Mussolini's navy has been crippled. 2 heavy cruisers and 2 destroyers are at the bottom of the sea. And HMS Stuart, the rusty tub, is sitting victoriously in the middle of it all. Her crew exhilarated, her paint blistered, and not a single man lost. The scrap Iron Flotilla has just helped win the most decisive naval victory in the Mediterranean. Mussolini is not laughing. Goebbels is silent. But the war is far from over. Their greatest test, a test of pure, agonizing endurance, is about to begin. The name on the horizon is not a fleet. It is a small, dusty, God-forsaken port in the Libyan desert, Tobruk. April 10th, 1941, 14 hours, off the Libyan coast. The skies are hard, cloudless, metallic blue. It is a perfect day for hunting. Lieutenant Commander John D-Day Stevenson, skipper of the HMS Voyager, wipes the salt spray from his binoculars. His ship, one of the scrap Iron Flotilla, is doing 25 knots, a speed that makes her 1918-era hull plates rattle like a tin biscuit box. Behind him, the coast of Egypt has vanished. Ahead of him lies Bomb Alley. The war has changed. The glorious night action at Matapan is a distant memory. On land, a new, terrifying name has emerged. Rommel, the Deutsches Afrika Korps, in a lightning blitz, has undone all of the Allies' gains, pushing the British Army back 300 miles to the Egyptian border, except for one place, one small, defiant, God-forsaken pocket of resistance. Tobruk. Inside that port's perimeter, 20,000 men, mostly of the Australian 9th Division, are surrounded. They are trapped by Rommel's panzers, artillery, and the Luftwaffe. They are the rats of Tobruk, and their only lifeline, their only source of food, bullets, and hope, is the 350-mile sea route from Alexandria. This route is a death sentence. The Luftwaffe and the Regia Aeronautica own the sky. Their Ju-88 and Heinkel bombers, and most terrifyingly, their Ju-87 Stuka dive bombers, are based just minutes away in Libya and Crete. They have turned this stretch of water into a shooting gallery. Admiral Cunningham, his main fleet now stretched to the breaking point by the disastrous campaigns in Greece and Crete, has no modern, fast, anti-aircraft cruisers to spare. He has Hec Waller and the scrap Iron Flotilla. The order is given. The 10th Destroyer Flotilla, as they are now known, will become the Tobruk Ferry Service. It is not a glorious name. It is a job for taxi drivers in hell. Stevenson, on the Voyager's bridge, sees the first specks. Aircraft, starboard bow, high, the alarm bells jangle. Action stations. Men in khaki shorts and steel helmets run to their posts, and what posts they are. The Voyager's anti-aircraft defense is a single, high-angle 3-inch gun, a pop gun, and a collection of .303 Lewis and .50 caliber Vickers machine guns. They are bringing rifles to a bomb fight. The specs grow. They are Ju-87s, Stukas. The air raid siren on the Voyager is drowned out by a new, more terrifying sound. A high-pitched, mechanical scream, the Jericho trumpet. The sound of a Stuka in its vertical dive. "Harder port," Stevenson roars. The Voyager turns, its old hull groaning, trying to make itself a smaller target. The first Stuka pulls out of its dive. A 500-pound bomb detaches, tumbling, screaming. It is a near miss. A column of water, 100 feet high, erupts 30 yards from the ship. The Voyager is lifted, slammed on its side, and drenched in a tidal wave of spray and steel shrapnel. A sailor on the Vickers gun mount is scythed down. "Keep firing," the gunnery officer yells, his voice cracking. The Lewis guns burp uselessly at the sky. A second Stuka. A third. This is not a battle. This is an endurance test. The scrap iron ships are too slow to run, too weak to fight back. They can only dodge. They weave. They turn. They pray. As the bombs rain down, For 2 hours, they endure the assault. By 16, the Voyager is still afloat. Her paint is scorched. Her funnel is a sieve of shrapnel holes. She is leaking from a dozen popped rivets, but she is alive. She limps into Tobruk harbor, and the rats on the dock, the gaunt, dust-covered diggers of the 9th Division, stop their digging. They stand up, and they cheer. They are cheering a ship that looks as old, as battered, and as defiant as they are. There is no rest. The crew of the Voyager spends the next 4 hours, under the cover of night, frantically unloading. They are not unloading grand strategy. They are unloading life. Crates of 303 ammunition, boxes of bully beef, medical supplies. And they are loading the cost. They are loading the stretchers, the men with missing limbs, the men with shell shock, the men who have paid their price. By 23, the ship is loaded, and in the pitch black, HMS Voyager slips her moorings and heads back out into Bomb Alley. She has to run the same gauntlet, all over again, to get home. This is the job. Not one glorious night, but every night. A constant, grinding, nerve-shattering run in obsolete ships against the most powerful air force in the world. The scrap Iron Flotilla is no longer a joke. It is the only thing keeping Tobruk alive. June 29th, 1941. 18 hours. Bomb Alley. The HMAS Water Hen is dying. She doesn't know it yet. But her chief engineer, Swallowed Anchor, does. He is fighting a battle, not against the Luftwaffe, but against his own ship. He is ankle-deep in hot, oily water. A steam pipe, weeping from a dozen pinhole fractures, hisses like a nest of snakes. The old girl is just worn out. In the past 3 months, she has made 20 runs to Tobruk, 20 runs of being pounded, dive-bombed, near-missed, and rattled to her core. Her 1917-era rivets are, quite literally, popping out of her hull from the endless, shuddering concussions. On the bridge, her skipper, Lieutenant Commander Swain, has dark, hollow circles under his eyes. He hasn't slept in 48 hours. He is steering, not a warship, but a leaking sieve. Aircraft. Sir. The call is weary. There is no panic in it anymore. It is just routine. Stukas. 10, maybe 12 of them. Starboard. Action stations. Swain orders, his voice a dry rasp. Harder starboard. The ship tries to turn. Her old, steam-powered steering gear is sluggish. She's a wounded animal, too slow to dodge. The Stukas scream down. The Jericho trumpet wail is the soundtrack to their lives. The Water Hen's single pom-pom gun opens up, a defiant, useless thump, thump, thump. The bombs are not aimed at her. They are aimed around her. The German pilots have learned that these old destroyers are more fragile than they look. A direct hit isn't needed. Hoomp, hoomp, hoomp. 3 500-pound bombs land in a perfect triangle, 50 yards from her hull. The Water Hen is lifted clean from the sea. She is slammed onto her side, a colossal, invisible fist punching her from below. Every light on the ship explodes. In the engine room, the main steam line fractures. The world becomes a scalding, high-pressure hell of white steam. The ship lurches to a halt, wallowing. Her engine's dead. Another Stuka, seeing her wounded, comes in for the kill. Hoomp. This one lands even closer. The concussion splits her seams. The scrap iron has finally been broken. Sir, the chief engineer screams up the voice pipe, his face covered in soot. The engine room is flooded. I can't hold her. She's going. Swain looks at his deck. It is buckling. She is listing 20 degrees to port. Abandon ship, he orders. It is the quietest, most painful order of his life. The crew of HMAS Water Hen, the Chook, as they call her, go over the side. They are not panicked, they are furious, they are swimmers, floating in the warm Mediterranean water, watching their ship die. She does not sink quickly. She lingers, stubbornly, for 4 hours, as if ashamed to go. She is the first warship of the Royal Australian Navy to be lost to enemy air attack. Her survivors are pulled from the water by the British destroyer HMS Defender. The Tobruk Ferry Service has claimed its first piece of scrap. The flotilla is breaking. The HMS Vendetta is next. She is not sunk. She is just done. Her engines are so worn, her hull so leaky, that she cannot make steam. She is declared unfit for service. A final humiliation. The once proud destroyer has to be towed back to Singapore, a cripple. The Stuart, Hec Waller's flagship, is a wreck. She has steamed over 100,000 miles in 1 year. Her boilers are failing. Her hull is paper-thin. The flotilla is down to 3. Vampire, Voyager, and the barely functioning Stuart. Goebbels' propaganda seems to be coming true. The scrap Iron Flotilla is being sent to the bottom, but the war is not slowing down. It is exploding. Mussolini, embarrassed at Matapan, has called for his German masters. The Wehrmacht has invaded Greece and Crete. The British and the Australian 6th Division are in a full, desperate retreat, and the only ships available to save them are the last rusted-out remnants of the scrap Iron Flotilla. April 24th, 1941. 23 hours. A beach at Nauplia, Greece. The olive groves are on fire. The night sky is lit by the unnatural, flickering orange of burning villages and the stark white glare of German flares. Private Davo Davidson, 6th Australian Division, is sitting on a cold, wet beach, his .303 Lee Enfield rifle useless in his hands. He is out of ammunition. He is out of food. He has been fighting a rearguard action against Wehrmacht mountain troops for 2 weeks, a retreat that has taken him from the mountains of northern Greece to this last, hopeless strip of sand. The Wehrmacht is 5 miles away, and closing. This is the end. This is Australia's Dunkirk. But there is no armada. Where the bloody hell is the Navy? A sergeant whispers, his voice a dry croak. Then, a shadow, a small, thin silhouette, moving fast and silent into the bay. It is not a cruiser. It is not a troop transport. It is a familiar, rusty, long and lean shape. It is HMS Voyager, the scrap iron ship, her hull already weeping from the Tobruk runs, has been diverted, along with Stuart and Vampire, for an even more impossible job, the evacuation of Greece. It is a suicide run. The Luftwaffe owns the sky, 24 hours a day. To bring a ship into these narrow, shallow bays is to offer it up as a sacrifice. On the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Stevenson isn't just dodging Stukas. He is dodging mines, navigating by guess and by God, and trying to find the 500 Australian diggers he's been sent to save. Boat away, the Voyager's whaler, a small wooden boat, makes the perilous journey to the beach. Davo. Davidson is pushed aboard, his mind numb. He is rowed out to the destroyer. He looks up. She is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. She is also a wreck. Her paint is gone, blasted off by near misses. Her funnel is patched with canvas. But she is there. He is hauled aboard. He is one of 300 men, diggers, Kiwis, and Brits, crammed onto the Voyager's deck, a space designed for 130 sailors. Then, the Luftwaffe arrives, the flares, the whistle of bombs. The scrap iron is a magnet, but her gunners, the hard-bitten Australian sailors, do not flinch. Their ancient guns, the pom-poms and the Vickers, open up, a defiant, angry thump-thump burp into the night. "Get us out of here, coxswain," Stevenson roars. The Voyager, dangerously overloaded, her decks awash with the weight of 300 extra men, begins to move. She scrapes the bottom of the bay, her propellers churning mud, and then, with a lurch, she is free. She runs the gauntlet of German coastal guns and Stukas, and by dawn she's in the open sea, battered, but alive. She has done it. The scrap has saved the rats. This was the story of the scrap Iron Flotilla. When the war was over, when the final tally was taken, the joke from Berlin had long since died. The 5 obsolete ships, which should have been in a breaker's yard, had instead written themselves into legend. They were the taxis to hell, the Tobruk Ferry Service that, against all odds, kept the 9th Division alive and became the first naval force to ever defeat a modern air force, not by fighting, but by endurance. They were the butchers at the kill, the night of Matapan, where Hec Waller's steward acted as the eyes of the fleet and helped annihilate Mussolini's cruisers. And they were the lifeboat at the abyss, the Greek tragedy, where they sailed into air-choked, mine-filled bays to rescue their own Australian brothers in arms from the beaches. Goebbels was right. They were scrap iron. But he had failed to account for the one thing that mattered, the men inside them, the Australian sailors who took those leaking, rattling, obsolete tubs and, through sheer, bloody-minded courage and brilliant seamanship, made them the most effective, most feared, and most respected destroyer flotilla in the entire Mediterranean. The joke was on Mussolini. His fast, modern fleet had been crippled, and the scrap iron flotilla had done it.